All right, I want to welcome you to the 2023 digital marketing plan. This is for home remodeling contractors, residential construction contractors. My name is Carl. I am the founder of Remodeling Marketing Team. And because we've got a limited amount of time and I want to respect your time, we're going to get moving here very quickly. So a couple of things. Here's what we're going to cover today in this webinar. We're going to set goals for 2023, help you determine how many leads you need to hit your revenue targets. We're going to talk about the three fundamentals of marketing success. We're going to look at how to optimize your website for conversion in 2023 and beyond. We're going to give you the big picture of all the online marketing channels that you should be tapping into if you're going to maximize your lead flow online. We'll talk about the latest trends in 2023, and we're also going to help you develop a custom action plan based on where you are now and what you need to do now. So that's the path of where we're going. Not going to be selling you anything today. If you feel like we could be a good strategic partner for you, we'd love to talk with you further about that. This really is for you. You're going to get out of this webinar what you choose to put into it. A lot of this is going to be on you to kind of flesh out the things that are most important to you. So that being said, we want to make sure that we are using our time wisely. So I'm going to ask you to turn off your cell phone, turn off Facebook. And then if you're a home remodeling or residential construction contractor who is serious about getting better results in the coming year, then these next 60 to 90 minutes are going to be of great value to you. So real quick, if you stay till the end, I've got a cheap, shameless bribe for you as well. We'll send you our ultimate internet marketing checklist for home remodelers. We'll also send you the ecosystem infographic showing you more detail as to the way to really dominate your particular marketplace. And so just to start off, who am I? Why should you even listen to me? What's the point of being here? I've been marketing online since 1997. I started selling vases on eBay back in the days of dial-up and have been marketing online ever since. I'm the author of Internet Marketing for Home Remodeling Companies. It's a book you can find on Amazon. I'm the creator of the Marketing Classroom. It's a marketing education website. International keynote speaker on business growth and lead generation, and widely accepted as a go-to expert in the internet marketing for home remodeling businesses. Have worked with companies across the US and internationally. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to really treat this as more of an interactive time, chance for you really to just dive deep into what you're doing, and we'll go from there. So thing we want to talk about, gave you a little of my background, remodeling marketing team. These are some of the clients that we've worked with: Integrity Trade Services, Wichita Homeworks, Roberts Overdoors, Complete Concrete Solutions. Those are some of our clients. So this is a niche that we understand very well. It's a marketplace that we've operated in. And so as we talk through today, we're going to be drawing a lot of our experience working with our own clients to really help you craft what your 2023 goals and objectives are going to look like when it comes to your digital marketing. So let's move on here. First thing I want to ask is this: what's the hardest part about marketing your home remodeling or your residential construction business online? If you've got some thoughts on that, just put those in the chat, and we'll give you a minute to give some thought to that and answer. And also, you'll see in the chat, there is a link for the workbook feel free to go ahead and click that link and download the workbook as well. That way you've got something you can take notes in and be working off of as we go. So what's the hardest part about marketing your remodeling or residential construction company online? Okay, let me put that back in there, Chris. Glad to have you with us today. There we go. And while we're talking about that, this is your workbook. You can download it at that link there, remodelingmarketingteam.com/workbook. Yeah, that's a very common issue, Chris, is generating not just leads, but you put a real important word in there, quality leads, at a price point that's decent and closes at a decent rate. And that's some of what we're going to talk about today as well. And really that's kind of the general feedback that we get. Most home remodeling, residential construction contractors have gone through the buying leads. They've done the home advisor, Angie's List kind of a thing. And what they found is the lead quality was not great. What you find is often those leads have been resold multiple times, and they're not really exclusive to you and your company. And so that creates an issue. And then, if you're having to spend a lot of money on those leads, or you're running paid ad programs that are not targeted well, you can burn through massive amounts of budget with little to show for it. So appreciate your feedback there. So let's get into this. Let's talk about the why. Why is our planning so important? Because you do have goals and objectives that you're trying to hit. You do have revenue targets that you're trying to hit. And the thing is that if you don't have a clear plan, there are so many options out there. If you don't really know where to spend your budget, what's going to end up happening is you're just going to end up in a place of frustration and confusion, spending massive amounts of money without really recapturing a good return on that marketing investment. And so what we want to help you do today is not only get clear on your plan and your objective, but even give you some clarity about how and where to allocate resources for your marketing going into 2023. And so when we talk about just the amount of options out there, I just want to show you the digital dominance infographic, and you're going to get this at the end of this webinar as well. These really are all the bases that you as a home remodeling contractor, residential construction contractor can be playing in the online arena. You've got your search engine optimization, you've got your pay-per-click, Google Ads, Microsoft Ad Network, you've got retargeting with Google and Facebook, you've got your online paid directories, your Yelp, your yellowpages.com, all of those types of places. You've got your repeat business and your referral business. You have your pay-per-lead programs. We just talked about those. Social media advertising, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then of course any referral program you might be running in-house. And so there's a lot of different places that you could go to make your marketing happen. What we're going to try and do is put some order to that. And I'll dive into this a little more later, but we actually have these in a numerical order based on what we know to be most effective long-term. And so we'll talk about that more later here in this session. So the thing is, you're going to make a major investment in your marketing. If you've got high-level goals, typically we recommend that a company be spending about 3% of their revenue on marketing. And so the reality is, if you're going to make a major investment in marketing, you have to be getting a good return on that investment, because you are going to spend a large amount of money to drive the business forward. And so what we don't want to have is the situation where you spend a lot of money and don't have much to show for it. And most everybody's been through that. You've paid for an advertising program, or you've paid a website vendor, or you've paid somebody else. And at the end of the day, the phone wasn't ringing, you weren't doing more projects, but you were writing more checks and spending more money. And so that's the place that we want to move you from and get you to a place where you're operating efficiently. You know you've got a good return on your investment month in and month out. And so what happens is we fail if we don't have a plan. If we don't have a clear plan, what's going to happen is we're either going to overspend, or even worse, we might underspend and even underperform what we could really do. And so part of what we have to do is we've got to get very clear on where we're going. If we don't have clarity about our end objective, what's going to happen is we're going to kind of wander around aimlessly. And so the opportunity that we have is that we can create a clear plan with goals, targets, and key performance indicators. And so when we do that, we've got a framework that we can move in and out of, and we can assess how we're doing, we can assess where we need to make adjustments, and we can make those modifications to stay on target and in our timeline for hitting our objectives. And so what we're going to talk about as we go forward here is how to generate enough leads to hit your targets and keep your crews working simultaneously, but you have to have clarity to make that happen. And then you've got to have a good return on the investment. We want it so that for every dollar you spend, you're getting dollars back for that expenditure. When you do that, you can scale up very easily because you already know what your metrics are. It's very easy to determine how much of what do you need to do to make those targets happen. And then what we're after is, of course, success. And that's when we maximize our lead flow and we hit our sales goals for 2023. And so what we're going to get started on is the clarity piece of this. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on setting clear goals. What I find so often is a contractor will tell me, you know, I'd like to be, I think, at this level. Okay, great. How soon do you want to be there? What's the time frame, or what's the exact dollar amount, or how many projects are you wanting to do each and every month? We've got to get clear on the parameters so we can deploy the appropriate mechanisms to make that happen. And so what happens is we find that success is goals and all else is commentary. Brian Tracy, that's a quote of his. So if we don't know where our goals are, if we haven't taken the time to write things down and get clear, then really all we're doing is we're just kind of talking and making a lot of noise, but not making a lot of progress. And so when you don't have goals, you're kind of like the sailboat out on the water with no wind. You're going to drift wherever the current takes you. But when you've got clear goals, you get wind in your sails and you can charge hard in the direction that you're headed towards. So here's a Harvard study for you. In 1979, a group of Harvard graduates was interviewed. And what they found was 84% had no specific goals. 13% had goals but did not write them down. And 3% had clear written goals and a plan to accomplish those goals. So the results of that, when they went back and studied these students over time, the 13% of the class that had goals were earning on average twice as much as the 84% who had no goals. And what's even more surprising is the 3% who had clear written goals and action plans were earning on average 10 times as much as the other 97% put together. So your clarity with your goals is going to be key, even in your marketing. And so what we want to do here in this next little bit is we want to set out a framework for goal setting. So we're going to help you put together written goals and plans. What you need to be thinking through is what's your 1-year goal, your quarterly goals, your monthly goals. And then there's got to be a stopping point to reevaluate at the beginning of each new year, the end of each quarter, and just look at where are you at based on your goals. What did you do well? What needs improvement? What adjustments do you need to make? So take a few moments, write some answers down here. Number one, what's your revenue target for 2023? And then the second thing I want you to do is I want you to divide that by 12 and figure out what that looks like monthly. Now, we realize that in home remodeling and residential contracting, things can be seasonal. So not every month is going to follow the average, but we want to just kind of put an average there so we have an idea of where we should be. And then the next thing we want to ask is, how many calls is that going to require? How many jobs are you going to have to do? How many projects are you going to have to complete to hit those numbers? And then lastly, what's the average transaction value of the things you do? And I'm going to give you an example to kind of walk you through this. So if your revenue target for 2023 is $1.5 million, that means your revenue per month needs to be $125,000, and that your average transaction value, let's just say, for example, is $12,500. I kept things easy numbers for us here. What that would mean is that you would need to have 10 projects per month coming in on the books to hit that revenue target. And so that's the first thing that I want you to get clear on. What's your revenue target for the year? What does that look like monthly? What is the average transaction value of the work that you do? And how many of those projects is it going to take on a monthly basis to help you hit your revenue target? And then from there, we can determine how many leads are you going to need to make that work as well. So here's the next question I want you to be working through. What is your average conversion rate from lead to scheduled project? So let me clarify this. If somebody calls your office today and you get 10 of those phone calls today inquiring about your services, how many of those will end up being a scheduled project based on your normal numbers? Is that 5%, 10%, 30%, 50%? What does that number look like? And then what we need to do is we need to divide our lead target by our conversion rate to figure out the number of leads that we need. So I've got an example here for you as well. Your average conversion rate, and we went on the high end here, let's say it's 55%. So on average, if somebody calls, asks for an estimate, asks for a bid, you go out and bid it. How many of those are going to become a truly on the books customer? Let's say your ratio is 55%, which would be a very good ratio. So you multiply your call target by your conversion rate. And I promise we won't do math the whole time. I don't want to bore you with that. But here's what we're looking at in this illustration. I would need 308 calls. If I'm closing at 55%, that's going to give me 560 leads per month. So what we're getting at here is it takes 560 leads per month to get me those 308 phone calls, or excuse me, not book jobs, but calls based on my numbers there. So what we want to figure out is what's your closing percentage in the office. So if you're closing at 10%, then we're going to need more lead flow. If you're closing at 30%, we don't need as much lead flow. If you're closing at 50%, we don't need quite as much lead flow. So what we've got to determine is what kind of lead flow do you need coming in based on your closing percentages in-house. So one of the things I've got here that's going to help you is if you'll go to this link here, and I'm going to put it in the chat for you as well. There is a spreadsheet that you can fill in and start to put your own numbers in, and it's going to bring you to this page here. And then when you get to this page, just make a copy of it, and I'll show you how to do that real quick. And we're going to spend a few minutes walking through this workbook just to help you really get some strong numbers in place. So this first page, and here's how you make the copy. When you get to this page, just simply click make a copy. You'll need to be signed into Google. Once you make a copy, you'll be able to work on this yourself. So what you're going to do is you're going to type in, what is your target revenue? So we use the example, I want to do 1.5 million as my target revenue this year. What that means is I need my 125,000 in monthly revenue. If my average job value, and again, we'll use our easy numbers, is 12,500. Then I need 10 jobs to hit my goal every month. If my conversion rate is 65%, then I need 15 leads. But let's go more real world. Let's say our closing rate is 20%. That means I'm going to need 50 leads to bring about those 10 jobs every month that I'm looking for. If my closing ratio is 5%, then I'm going to need 200 leads to get to my 10 paying customers. So be sure and play with that, figure out your revenue goal, and then figure out what those numbers look like. How many leads are you going to need to generate each and every month? Because this is going to give some clarity as to what are your best steps in your marketing based on the type of lead flow you need to generate. Okay. The second thing we want to take a look at is the marketing budget. How much are you going to put to marketing? So you want to do 1.5 million this year. They have 10% here. We're going to make this a little lower. We're going to go, let's say it's 3% is what we're going to spend on marketing. Well, that means we're going to spend 45,000 a year on our marketing. Out of that, that's a $3,750 budget each month. And we're going to look at our allocations, 70% to online marketing, 20% to offline marketing. That might be things like vehicle wraps, business cards, those kinds of things, 10% to referral business. What's going to happen is if you're in a high growth stage, meaning you need to grow more, then you're going to put more money into your online marketing. So maybe here you're going to go to 85%. And then you're going to take this one to 10 for offline. Then you're going to take it to 5 for your referral marketing. If you're an existing established company, you've been around for a number of years, got a lot of customers, a lot of referral traffic, you may want to change those percentages up some. But this will very quickly tell you where your money needs to go for 2023. And it'll break apart for you how much of that budget is going to each thing. So in this case, 85% going to online marketing means that your online marketing budget each month needs to be $3,187.50. Your offline marketing, $375. Your repeat business marketing, $187. So use this spreadsheet to really help you figure out what your budget needs to be for what you're trying to accomplish. I think sometimes we get into the habit of setting high goals for ourselves with very unrealistic expectations of how we're going to get there. So we don't want to just throw money at things. We want to be very strategic in how we do it. So let's take this back 70% and 20% here. And you'll see those numbers will update for you as you go. And then we did 10% here. Okay. And so once we do that, it'll readjust your numbers here. Put that back in. There we go. And so you can play with that and get that to where it's really showing where you need to allocate. Again, if you're in growth mode, you're a newer company, you're going to put a higher majority into online marketing. If you're older, more established, you can scale that back some, go more into some of those offline and referral things. It's all going to depend on where your business is at right now. The next sheet here for you is your average cost per lead by source. And so what I want you to be looking at here is what is the average cost per lead costing you? So if we're advertising for kitchen remodels, or let's, for example, say we're landing leads at $40 a lead using pay-per-click. We're landing those same leads at $30 using the Google local service ads. Repeat and referral business is costing us $5 a lead. Our blended average is $25 a lead. Now, what you're going to find is anything that is organic is obviously going to be a lower cost lead for you. So if you're generating leads through your Google business listing, through your website using SEO, and through your referrals, through your organic social media content, your cost per lead is always going to be lower. You start putting in the paid advertising pieces, Google local service ads, Facebook ads, pay-per-click ads. That's always going to raise your cost per lead. If you're buying leads, it's always going to raise your cost per lead. So what I'd like you to do here as you're planning is just go through it and really figure out what have you been landing your leads for in these different categories. And you may have more categories. I just gave you these: kitchens, baths, and exteriors. And then again, we want to look at what's our average transaction based on those factors. So with average kitchens, let's say maybe your average kitchen remodel is $12,000. Your average bathroom remodel, let's put it at 10. Your average, exterior job, we'll put it 15. So you know what your numbers are, you know what your revenues tend to look like. So you can start to figure out, is your cost per lead such that you're still profitable based on your price points? And so again, if your profitability is a little lower, you have to look at, do you increase the profitability in your services? Do you find a cheaper way of landing those leads? There's different factors you're going to want to look at. The next thing we gave you here that I think will be of some value is a marketing calendar. Every month you ought to have an emphasis for every one of the modalities that you're going to use in your marketing. And so we just kind of gave you some examples here. Maybe January, your emphasis is on kitchen remodeling. And so in your pay-per-click ads, that's what you'd focus on. In your email blasts, that's what you'd focus on. Social media, that's what you would focus on. Your search engine optimization, your content would be related to kitchen remodeling. If you're running display ads, same thing. But the reason I put this here is every month, there really ought to be a focal point in your advertising, in your marketing. What's the thing that we're pushing towards to get more volume coming into the business? So for example, we're based here in Wichita, Kansas. So starting late March through late May is tornado and storm season. So a great place for us to be focused in those months is gutters in April, roofs in May, doors and windows in June, because in those preceding months, we're going to have thunderstorms come through. We're going to have hailstorms come through. We may have tornadoes come through. So we want to be front running or running ads concurrently with those events that happen in our location. Then you've got your special offers by the month, and this is something you can email out to those on your marketing list. And if you don't have a marketing list now, You definitely want to have one of those, and we'll talk about that more here in a minute. And so what I'd like you to do here is just work through what are your specials going to be each month of the year. So what's your special going to be in January? What's your special going to be in February? And let me just give you an example. This might be a deal for bathroom remodels. We'll give you $50 off of a new sink install. You figure out what those deals look like, what those extra value specials look like, what makes sense for you from a profitability standpoint, but get something down on paper so that you know come March, come June, come April, what's the special you're going to put out to your database. And then we've got your special offerings here, and these are a few of them that I put in here. So maybe it's your kitchen plumbing, $25 off of a kitchen faucet install, your required disclosures, a general coupon for $50 off for first-time customers. You figure out what makes sense here, and then you've got something you can just go pull from. Hey, it's been a while since we've run the general coupon. Let's run that again as just an added value to our new clients. So let's keep going here. So what is your goal for 2023? How many leads are you going to need to get there? And how many of those are you going to need monthly? Hopefully you've got that written down. And so let's talk, now that you have those things in place, now we get to talk a little bit about the marketing side of things. So apologize for taking you down the spreadsheet path, but the truth is spreadsheet path is what's going to give you clarity on the rest of what we're going to discuss. And so I hope you find that super helpful. That spreadsheet's yours, work with it however you want to. So what we're going to look at first of all is what's our message? What is it we're going to put out into the marketplace? What is it that we're out to convey to our prospect base about who we are and what we do? And so we've got to update our marketing message to match up to the person we're trying to talk to. And that's going to lead us to this second thing. The second thing that we need to really pay attention to is who is your ideal customer. In marketing terms, we call this our avatar, and kind of humorous that we be talking about that because the new Avatar movie is out right now. But we're not talking about the avatar at the movies. We're talking about your customer avatar. Who are they? What do they do? What do they think? What are their habits? What are their concerns? What are they aspiring towards? What are their goals, dreams, and fears? All of those types of things. And so I'm going to take you through a little worksheet here, or a little process. And you can just make notes of these in your workbook. We're going to look at pains and frustrations, fears and implications, dreams and aspirations, goals and desires. And we're going to be looking at what is it that really drives and moves the person that is going to be your customer, because you're going to have to learn to talk to them in such a way as to get them to really resonate with you. So for example, if you're wanting to do more higher end home remodeling projects, higher end construction projects, the language and the motivations are going to be different for that customer than for the person who just wants to put a new countertop in. There's just a different mindset that you're going to have to tap into. And so let's talk about this. Who is your ideal customer avatar? So I've kind of laid one out for you here, and it may not be yours. It may be close, but be thinking about this. So this is an avatar we developed for one of our clients. And so their ideal customer is a homeowner, generally 35 years of age or older. The decision maker, or the one driving the decision, is generally the female. What she's going to do is she's going to get validation from the male in the house when it's time to say, is it okay to spend the money? They are head of household, meaning they're the ones making sure everything runs day to day. Married with 2 to 3 kids. Generally, those 2 to 3 kids are going to be late elementary, junior high, high school, kind of that range. Annual household income is going to be 65,000 plus. They're very family oriented. They're highly involved in sports and school activities. They tend to be very reliable, considered very trustworthy. They do get easily frustrated by things that are inconvenient, especially because there's so many demands on their time. They do like to please people, but they expect everybody to be the same in return. They're not handy people. If they were, they'd be more of the do-it-yourself crowd. They're not handy. They'd rather have somebody else do the work for them. If they have time, they like gardening, they like crafts, they like arts, they like to travel. They live in the suburbs or in the outer sections of the community. They tend to be in a middle class, more of an upper middle class neighborhood, and they do take an interest in things in their community. Here's some of their frustrations. Because their family is larger, the bathroom gets tied up in the mornings. That's a frustration. They find that they can't entertain due to a lack of space in their current home. They don't really want to spend the money for a new home purchase. And now, as interest rates have increased and are getting ready to increase again, they would rather do some work on their current home, make it more of what they want, than to go out and look for a new one. They're just too busy to deal with making those changes to their home. And they're worried that the situation at the house could end up frustrating the family. And so they're trying to limit the stress level of everybody in their home. The next thing we find is their fears and their implications. They're afraid of being ripped off and overcharged. So that's something that you're going to have to be able to communicate to them as you're dealing with them. They're afraid of paying too much for something they could have gotten at a better price somewhere else. They're afraid of having their home damaged by faulty or poor workmanship. They don't want to have to wait around for work crews to arrive at their house, and they don't want to be inconvenienced trying to coordinate with the contractor. The bill will be more than the bid. That's one of their chief concerns. And then their goals and desires. And this is really what we're going to talk into, is the emotional side of things. They want to increase their home space. They want more usable space. They want to have a beautiful home. They want to take care of their family. They'd like to make more income. They'd like to have more money, more wealth. They'd like to live in a nicer, more luxurious house. They'd like to drive a nicer car. They want their kids to be healthy, happy, and successful. They want to spend more time with their family. They want to travel and have fun with their family. And they want the respect and approval of their friends, family, and their relatives. Most of all, they want peace of mind. And so when we market to them, we're going to keep all of these things in mind, and we're going to speak their language. We're going to start to communicate to the things that are driving them, that are motivating them. And here's the reason behind that. If you can see Joe Jones through Joe Jones's eyes, then you can sell what Joe Jones buys. And part of this is learning to look at things from their perspective, learning to communicate from that perspective, and learning to speak their language. Because what you find is that people buy first out of emotion, and then they support that decision with logic. So if they feel good about the decision, then they'll validate that feeling with the supporting evidence. Do the numbers make sense? Does this make sense? And so we're going to want to flow into that. And so what we have to do is we have to begin to craft our message. And that's the next little step I'm going to have you take a few moments and do here. And just knock out these couple of bullet points. Number one, why should someone choose to do business with you versus the competition? And then the second thing is, what benefits do you offer that your target customer avatar will resonate with? So take just a couple of moments, fill out those 3 bullet points. And this is what we call the unique selling proposition. Why you? What makes you different? What makes you the go-to in this circumstance for this particular customer as opposed to anybody else? All right, let's move on here. Messaging that works. You may want to talk about on-time project completion. Remember, one of their fears is the time management, the inconvenience. One of their fears is it going to cost more than what I thought it would? Is it going to be overcharges, overruns? And so straightforward pricing or upfront pricing, or the issue of workmanship, satisfaction guaranteed. Are we going to stand behind our work? And then the third thing, obviously, if I'm concerned about, the quality of who's going to come out and do the work for me, are they trustworthy technicians and field people who are screened and vetted? So there are things that we can communicate that are going to help put their mind at ease, help them have a much better feeling about who we are and what we have to offer. And then you can make the case for why you. Fast turnaround on project estimates. Maybe you've got some money saving offers or some value added offers. If you'll do this thing, we'll add this other service in as well to where you can upsell and cross sell. Do you have dedicated project managers? So if there's something I've got a concern about, who am I going to talk to? And how available are they going to be? And are they going to come out to the job site? And am I going to have the opportunity to interact with them? Clean cut professional crews, or the people you're going to send to my house, are they going to look respectable? And then finally, great service guaranteed. Do you stand behind your work? If something goes wrong, how do you handle that? Those are all things that you can make the case for, that you can put forth in your marketing to give people a better sense of comfort about working with you exclusively. So you worked on your message, and now that you've got your message figured out, now it's time to talk about how do we deploy the message. So we go from our message to our market. That was our avatar. Now we're going to talk about the media, the how. How do we make sure we get our message to the right place? And so that all starts with your hub. And your hub is your website. And really, in today's world, it's not just your website, it's your website and your Google business profile. You really have two hubs now, whereas you used to just have one. But we're going to talk about your website right now, because even the Google business profile is going to feed off of the website. And so when we talk about your hub, it's the center of your ecosystem. Your website is where all the action happens. And what we're constantly doing everywhere that we operate online is we're driving people back into this central hub. And then from the hub, we're driving them to connect with us in our social environments. And so it's a continual circular pattern that's taking place. So I put a piece of content out on Facebook, you come to my website. At my website, I point you to my LinkedIn or my YouTube. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to create multiple points of connection with that individual. I want you to think of this like a spider web. When that moth flies into the spider web, its hand gets stuck and it starts to flop around and the wing gets stuck and then the next wing. And so what you're doing is you're becoming sticky with that particular prospect, because everywhere they go, they are encountering you. But we got to make sure that if our hub is our website, that our website is set up to convert. And so the question I have for you is your website set up to convert visitors into leads? And so we're going to talk here for a minute. This is the Wichita Homeworks website. And there are some things that I want to draw your attention to on this website that are conversion factors. The first one is when you come up to this phone number, it is a live link. If you click it, it is going to call their office immediately. This is so critical because a high percentage of search traffic today is done on a mobile device. And so we want to make this a very quick to click to call, they click the button, immediately they're talking to you. Then we've got connections to their social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. And you come down here to the side, we offer you those same menus again. But then here front and center, get an estimate. You click that button, immediately you're filling out a form and it's going straight to Wichita Homeworks. So when you look at this, we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the contact link as well. 5 different conversion options on this page without you ever having to scroll. And so what that's going to do is that's going to help convert your visitors to leads. And I'm going to give you some insight into why this is so critical. And remember, these website visitors, if you're paying for ads, you're paying for them to get there. We want the site to convert. If you're doing search engine optimization, you're still doing that work to get them there. We want that to convert. Ideally, we want to try and have about a 30 to 35% conversion rate of visitor to lead. And so that's what we're after. But here's a place where you can really see conversion optimization has a big impact. So this is a case study. The total investment for SEO work was $2,490. The total leads out of that, this was for 1 month, was 1,477. They were not running any paid advertising. So all they were doing was search engine optimization and local search engine optimization. So they ended up with 375 organic calls, 1,071 calls from Google Maps, and 31 web forms. That's how we got to this 1,477 number. That puts, when you divide that between their total ad spend, or not total ad spend, but their total marketing spend, their average cost per lead was $1.69. So very good metrics, but the conversion is what makes the difference. Is, are you set up to convert? Are you set up to capture that information, to turn that visitor into a prospect? Now, I swiped this from a friend of mine's plumbing marketing company. So bear with me on this. It is geared towards plumbing companies, but it all applies to anybody. Here's things that are going to help your website convert. We call this the website conversion machine. There should be a logo with the identity up here in the top left. Your title for your website ought to have your city first. So in this case, we're in Wichita, Kansas. It probably ought to say Wichita, Kansas Home Remodeling Company. We want a clickable phone number that turns into a live phone call. We want to have our social media links. We want to have a call to action. Click the button to fill out a form to get in contact with us. If you can have your trust icons on there or reviews on there, you want to have that. Have client testimonials on the website somewhere. Give that social proof. If it makes sense, put the form directly on the front of the website. Put a map there. If you've got the ability to do live chat or SMS, you're going to want to do that. More people are wanting to text these days. So you come down here on the left side, there's some findability elements. And what that means is these are things that are going to make your website more easily found when somebody is searching. Keywords in the page titles and content. There needs to be an exact match, name, address, and phone number in the footer of the site. And that needs to match up exactly to what's on your Google business profile and your other primary directory listings. We call those citations. And then ideally, you want that site built on a WordPress framework and fully responsive. And what we mean by fully responsive is that if somebody's on a mobile device, it's going to display correctly because about 40% of the searches are going to be mobile. Then you've got your engagement elements, your clear, unique selling proposition and testimonials. Your navigation needs to be clear and easy to find. The message is to your avatar. It's not about you, it's about them. You need to have trust icons to position your authority. a clear map to show your location, your locality, and then your social proof icons as well. Conversion elements, you need to have a tracking phone number with a clear call to action, a clear call to action front and center, a lead magnet form field. Fill out the form below to get our free report, whatever giveaway you want to make that. 24/7 live chat, if that makes sense. Even if you don't do 24/7, you can use automation. For example, if you're going to send those chats to Facebook Messenger, you can have an automated response as part of that. You can do check-ins nearby, and then real photos of you and your team. That's a big one. People want to see who it is that they're working with. And then if you're using the WordPress, you want to use some plugins that are going to help that function better. For SEO, you want to use either Yoast SEO or all-in-one SEO. The Google Analytics plugin, Click to Tweet, Facebook Auto Publish, Google XML Sitemaps, Jetpack, and then Nearby Now. Those are all some plugins you may want to explore. So now let's talk about, is your website set up for conversion? First thing is, does it speak to your avatar? Remember, we've got to communicate in their language towards the things that are on their mind. Does it address their fears, their frustrations? Does it speak to why they ought to choose you as opposed to someone else? Does it have authentic images of your team on the homepage or throughout the website? Does it include video elements? Video is always great. It keeps people on your page longer. Video actually converts better than text. Some ideas for that would be a website welcome video, a video for each of the services that you offer, a video explaining why someone should contact you instead of your competition. Does it showcase your online reviews more prominently on the homepage? You can do that with a tool like Bird Eye or Review Buzz. Does it make it easy for the person to take action and get in contact with your company? That's the biggest thing. We want to go straight to the heart of what we're trying to do. We want you to call us. We want you to put a form request in. Somehow we want to be talking to you, the prospect. And then we want to get the basics in order. Phone number is in one of the corners. Ensure, and predominantly you're going to put it in the right corner. Sometimes you'll have it in the left, depending on what all else is there. Ensure that there's a web form that customers can fill out. Add your credibility symbols, Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, Chamber of Commerce, whatever you want to have on there. Are there calls to action on each page to speak to your customer avatar and tell them exactly what to do next? And are you giving them the opportunity to engage via chat? Chat is becoming a predominant medium for people to communicate. In the case of Wichita Homeworks, about a third of their leads are now coming in through Google Business Profile Messenger and Facebook Messenger. So roughly, 35%, 36% are coming through chat and message. So it's something you want to make sure you're taking advantage of. And then leverage marketing automation and SMS to maximize your lead conversion rates. And here's the reason for that. In today's world, people are used to getting a response within about 5 minutes. And so if you've got some automation in place, so as soon as that lead contacts you, that they get some kind of automation, an email, a text message, a messenger message, what you're going to find is your conversion rates are much better. You're going to find that prospect attaches to you much more quickly because of the response time. So pull up your website, take a look at it. Is it built to convert? And if not, what things do you need to tweak as part of this process? And here's what we were just getting into. The biggest marketing issue facing home remodeling and residential construction contractors is unconverted leads. And so let me talk through this with you. 50 to 60% of inbound prospects to your website are going to leave unconverted. And 90% of web forms that are filled out and submitted also fail to convert. And so here's the real reasons behind that. Leads that are not followed up within 15 minutes go cold. The average customer has to be followed up within 5 to 7 times before they'll actually book an appointment with you. And today's consumer actually prefers to interact via text message versus phone call or email. In fact, our in-house marketing system is set up to where we can phone, we can text message, and we can email off the same platform. And we find that people respond in different modalities based on who they are. And so the more options we can give them for communication, the better we're going to be. So here's the solution. You have to leverage marketing automation to follow up with those web forms within the first 2 minutes of submission, by phone, by email, and by text message, ideally. At the very least, you want a response email that kicks out if they submit a form. Even better is if there is a phone message or a text message or both that goes out as well. And then you want to automate the follow-up so that every prospect is touched 5+ times and able to engage in a two-way text messaging thread with you. And here's the reason for that. Let's just look at the math on this. If we get 100 leads and our normal conversion rate with no follow-up is 30%, so we're going to book 30 jobs. Our average ticket is $10,000. That means those leads are worth $300,000 to us. Now, if we take those same 100 leads, but we bump our conversion rate from 30 to 70% because we're using automated follow-up, we're going to book 70 jobs and our revenue is now going to be $700,000 instead of $300,000. So same amount of effort to get those leads there. But what's happening once the lead arrives at our website is we're converting at a higher level. And so we drive our revenues up without any additional expenditure to get the lead. All we're doing is we're converting more of those leads. So hopefully that makes sense to you. We want to work smarter, not harder, be more efficient in what we do. And so what that does is it makes every lead that you generate more valuable to you. And so let's talk about implementing this into your business. How do we go about doing that? So what I'd like you to do is list for me, or actually for you, not for me, what 3 conversion elements right now do you know you need to implement on your website? Do you need a clickable phone number? Do you need a call to action right where the person lands? Do you need to put text messaging capability or chat capability on there? Do you need to strengthen your call to action? Do you need to change up some of the wording on the page? What are the 3 action items that you're going to implement on your website so that it converts better? All right, and then what I'd like you to do is just take a couple of moments here and just write down in your workbook, what are your takeaways? What have you learned? What did you notice? And if there's anything you want to share, just put that in the text or the chat, and would love to hear your thoughts. All right, let's keep rolling here. Third thing we want to do is know and track your key performance indicators. What you measure is going to make such a difference in your overall performance. So you have to be measuring the right things. So let's take another one here. 513 total leads, total expenditure, $7,484.98. That includes ad spend and SEO. Their average cost per lead, $14.59. The breakdown, 121 organic calls, 112 paid ad calls, 258 Google Maps calls, 22 web forms. So they can look at their average cost per lead, things you're going to want to measure. total number of leads, where those leads are coming from, total ad spend and marketing spend, and then what's that average cost per lead? Are we getting our leads at a cost that allows us to be profitable at that level? And this goes back to what is your closing percentage? So if your closing percentage isn't very good, then you're going to want to not have a super high cost per lead, because it's going to cost you more money to land those. What we'd like to see is that we improve on all fronts, and your closing ratios become better, your lead flow becomes better, and your cost per lead becomes better. So far, here's what we've covered. We've set a clear goal and target for 2023. You set your revenue goal. We've developed clarity around our market, our message, and our media. We've made sure that the website is optimized for conversion, and we've set up a simple KPI tracking dashboard: number of leads, where they came from, cost per lead, total expenditure for marketing. So let's get into some key trends for 2023, some things I want you to be aware of. Number one, Google local service ads. These really began rolling out this year, and they're becoming a real difference maker in a lot of markets. There's a shift from phone conversion to message conversion, and you must have an all-in perspective when it comes to your marketing. There's not just one single tool that's going to drive the machine. It's going to take a combination of tools working together. So let's talk about Google local service ads, and you've probably seen those. So I type in Home Remodeling Contractors, Wichita, Kansas, and immediately the first thing at the top of these page is these three boxes here. First thing I want you to notice, these are sponsored. So these individuals are paying for leads generated by Google through the Google local service ad. Second thing I want you to notice is it says they are Google guaranteed, which means they have gone through a vetting process with Google to be able to use that particular program. That Google local service ad includes a Google tracking phone number. So if anybody calls, that is tracked by Google. And here's what you find with the Google guarantee. They've passed a license check, a background check, they have business insurance, they've been vetted by Google. And it's a bit of a lengthy process, but what it's meant to do is to give the end user a degree of comfort. Remember, one of the things with the avatar is I don't want to get ripped off, I don't want to overpay, I want to know they'll stand behind their work. And so what Google is offering is, if you're not satisfied and the criteria aren't met, we'll actually reimburse you for a portion of your purchase. So it gives a sense of security to the end user. Google's motivation, of course, is they want to go head to head with Angie's List and Home Advisor and some of these other lead generation services. So when you pull up a Google search, here's the way this thing lays out. The Google local service ads are up here at the top. The regular Google ads are here next. Then the Google business listings or Google Maps listings are next. And then your traditional Google SEO is behind that. So actually, part of what Google is working on now is a rolling page, to where it's not just 10 results, it just keeps rolling with more of this kind of information. And actually, if we were to come a little further, there's some frequently asked questions. They might throw in some top reviews. That's what's changing. But the reason the local service ads are so desirable is they have the best real estate on the Google search page. So here's how they work. You have to complete the Google Local Services application. Google will run a background check on not just you, but also your employees, a license check, a background check via Pinkerton Consulting. They're going to check your insurance, etc. Business owners and all field crews must complete a background check. And once approved and activated in your area, you're going to pay on a per lead basis. And those leads typically are running $25 to $45 a lead. But those prices can shift up or down, and they're going to vary by the industry or the niche that you're in and your location. Here's some feedback from people that are using it. It tends to be a little lower cost per lead than their pay-per-click campaigns. Definitely higher quality leads than what they get from Home Advisor and some of the other lead generation sources. They do get some price shoppers and have to follow up very quickly. And there is a solid return on investment from most of the clients who are using this platform. Couple of things that I'm not a super fan of with local service ads is it still is somebody who's looking for the service, but not necessarily looking for you. And I much prefer to create an environment where you are so dominant that it's not just they want the service, you're the only person they want doing that service. And that's what we've done with Wichita Homeworks. I'll get into their case study here in just a minute. So here's the next steps with local service ads. If you want to use those, you can go to adwords.google.com/local services/sign up. Complete your background checks, put the tracking in place to gauge your return on investment. Be sure that you're leveraging the platform to close jobs and updates, and then continue to play the game while the return on investment makes sense. If it gets cost prohibitive, then it's probably not something to continue with. And then finally, build out your 2023 marketing plan. This is the home remodeling marketing ecosystem. The foundation is always going to be search engine optimization. That's the organic side of things. That's where your best leads are going to come from. That's where people are really going to attach to you. They've been to your website. They've been to your Google business profile. They've decided you're the vendor they want working on their project. The second thing you want to implement is pay-per-click advertising, either Google Ads or the Microsoft Ad Network, which is Bing, Yahoo, Verizon Mobile. What we're going after is the person who is currently in the market for your services. Then we want to look at retargeting. If we're going to bring people to our website, not everybody's going to stick in the moment. So we want to be able to retarget those people either on Google or Facebook with more advertising. You've got your online paid directories. You've got your referral and repeat customer business, pay-per-lead programs, social media advertising, and then you've got referral programs that you can use, gift cards, newsletters, things like that. So what you need to look at is which of these elements are you going to implement? To what degree are you going to implement them? Here at Remodeling Marketing Team, we keep it pretty simple. We go very heavy on SEO. We go very heavy on search ads. We go very heavy on social media ads and retargeting. And that's really the mixture that we use because it works very well for our clients. And so you'll probably use something similar. Give you a quick case study here. We work to make sure that the website converts. Been very proactive in their SEO. We've done Google Maps optimization. We focus on their reviews and reputation. We have strategic pay-per-click campaigns running. We run social media campaigns and social media ads. They use email marketing. And then, of course, we're tracking everything to make sure that they're getting the performance. So Wichita Homeworks is based in Wichita, Kansas. They serve the Sedgwick County area. Population is about 600,000 in that area. They are a full service home remodeling and custom home builder contractor. And so they've been in business now for about 7 years. They've been our client for about 6. When we first met them, they were operating out of the owner's basement with a secretary and one other person. They now have about 20 employees and we'll do about $5 million in revenue this year. So the way we've gotten them there is with the combination I just described to you: search engine optimization, local search engine optimization, voice engine optimization, mobile search optimization, Google search ads, Facebook and Instagram ads. And what that's led us to is they rank in the top 3 for the most valuable keywords in their market. This was last month's numbers for them. They generated 334 leads. Their average cost per lead was $13.02. And as I said, they are on pace to do $5 million in revenue this year. And so really good metrics for them. What I want to point out though, this cost per lead is these are all inbound leads that have decided we just want to do work with Wichita Homeworks. They're not people looking for generic services. They've decided they want that pricing from Wichita Homeworks. And so that's part of what drives their business. They've done a good job of building their brand and their reputation in the marketplace. So what you can do, this is one of the giveaways I have for you. You can build your own custom plan. If you'll go to this link here, remodelingmarketingteam.com/checklist. See if I can highlight it here. And I can't highlight it, so I'll put it in the chat. You can actually download the checklist, and you'll be able to get it from there. Okay. That's one of our bonuses for you. In your custom plan, you've got the 2023 worksheet. We've also got included for you there the home remodeling company marketing ecosystem. Take a look at that. And then finally, just fill out what are your top 3 internet marketing initiatives that you need to implement to hit your 2023 goal. So go ahead and write those out. What you put down, what you put in writing, that you commit to take action to is what's going to make the biggest difference for you going forward. And then in your workbook, write down your key takeaways. What did you learn? What did you notice? And is there anything you'd like to share? Okay, so here's what we covered today. Getting ready to land the plane. We set your goals for 2023. How many leads did you need to hit your target? The 3 fundamentals of marketing success, how to optimize your website for conversion in 2023 and beyond, the big picture of all the online marketing channels you should be tapping into to maximize your lead flow, the latest trends that you need to be aware of in 2023, and we developed a custom action plan based on where you are now and what you need to do now. Couple of resources for you. You can download the checklist. You can ask us for a copy of the ecosystem graphic. And then you can also get our book, Internet Marketing for Home Remodeling Companies, on Amazon, or send me an email and I'll send you a link to where you can actually just download it in a PDF if you'd like it that way. And then finally, if we can help you implement any of this, if you need a strategic marketing partner to help you reach your goals, you can schedule time with me on my calendar, remodelingmarketingteam.com/schedule, or you can call our office at 888-350-7859. Appreciate you taking your time out with me today, and hope 2023 is a good one for you, and look forward to talking with you soon.